Hey everybody, it's Mike. I'm back and I'm ready to talk about more Krishna stuff and all kinds of stuff relating to cults and the evil that the evil that they do. Let's get into it with the opening. Here we go.
Hello?
Hello.
Okay, so yeah. Now I know some viewers. Some viewers are going to be like, "Wait, you got a picture of Jeffrey Epstein next to a picture of Prabhupada?" And you know what? Yeah, I do. I do. And both of these guys have abused women and children and caused immense suffering. Underage girls, and in some cases, boys. Yes, I have. I absolutely did. Prabhupada is responsible for the suffering of so many children. So many children. And the child marriage and having people defending pedophiles, breaking them out of jail, trying to convince people that these pedophiles haven't done anything wrong because the girl was only at 12, kicking me out because I wouldn't go along with their pedophilia, turning me into the evil person that they wanted to coerce with violence and death threats. Because I say 11-year-old girls shouldn't be married to grown men? People like that? This guy turned people into that. He and his books. This is what he talks about in his books. And women are less intelligent and have small brains. You know how damaging that is for little girls to grow up in that environment, for women in that environment? Grown women, I don't know, I can't explain that. You're going to join a cult that says that you have small brains, you like to be raped. Little girls must be married at 11, 12, 13 years old. I don't know how a grown-ass woman that believes in herself with any dignity, any integrity, any dignity, any self-respect would join a cult that treats women like that. That blows my mind. That any grown woman that has any self-respect, that has any dignity, who has any sense, self-awareness, any sense of discrimination, any just shred of intelligence, would join a cult that says that women are stupid, have small brains, they like to be raped, you can smack them around, that little girls should be married at 11, 12, 13 years old. How does a grown woman voluntarily join that cult? Just like black folks joining this cult that says that black people are ugly and stupid and criminals and drunkards, and if you build a library, black people just come for drinking, they're not going to come to read a book. And, you know, the good ones, we can use those. We can take the good ones and use them. those vicious animals in Detroit. We don't want those. That shit is racist as it gets. It doesn't get any more racist than that. And sexist. And saying that women are don't give them positions of authority. And don't trust them. You don't trust a woman. He says that don't trust a politician or a woman. This guy got some fucked up ideas, and he's spreading them around, and it causes a lot of harm to a lot of people. It's caused a lot of harm. Suicides, sexual abuse, domestic abuse. And people worship this guy like he's God. Nobody's worshiping Jeffrey Epstein. Everybody recognizes him as an evil, criminal pedophile. There's no question. There's no question. But the other guy, Prabhupada, there seems to be some issue with this. First, I want to talk about the damage that happens. And I came across this video because I'm not an expert in anything. I'm not a psychiatrist or psychologist or cult expert or anything like that. So I'm researching and looking and watching and hearing from experts. And there's an expert, he was talking about something. He's not talking about Hare Krishna. He's talking about child abuse and sexual child abuse and the damage it does. And I immediately said, this applies to the children in Krishna, in the Krishna cults. Exactly this. You got to hear it for yourself.
And the reason why this matters is because these are, of course, crimes. They're heinous crimes. And the reason why this matters to me and leads me to speak up about it is because, you see, this is the very essence of my day job. You know, I'm a psychiatrist, and the vast majority of what I do is look after people who've experienced trauma earlier in their life. And much of the time, in fact, most of the time, that trauma is often of a sexual nature. There's often been sexual abuse in people's lives which bring them into mental health services. And that's why I wanted to talk about the impact of sexual abuse in this video. And
if animals come to you without hesitation, you might be one of us.
Only 1.2% of humanity is starseeds.
I refuse to give YouTube money. I just do. I don't know why.
The crime to which the leadership of the Republican House is now complicit. Because, you see, what happens when somebody who is a child, who isn't a fully formed adult, is abused sexually in this way, is that not only is it a physical violation, but it's a deep psychological wound. This deep psychological wound is the thing that lasts for years and years, and potentially decades and a lifetime of that person. It's like a bomb goes off in their psyche. You see, the abuser is committing an act of violence in which they actually look upon the person they're abusing in the most derogatory possible way. They look at them not even as human, as objects, not even as objects, but as sort of receptacles of their hatred. There's deep animosity involved because it's about power, it's about overpowering somebody, it's about harming and hurting somebody, and it's about getting gratification from that perverted act. And when you do that, when you look upon that person in that way with such intensity and ferocity and violence, that absorbs into that young person's psyche, because the young person hasn't fully developed, you know, their sense of self yet, and it becomes a part of their sense of self. They actually start believing that about themselves. They start believing about themselves that they're this horrible, awful, disgusting person, which is the way the abuser saw them. And because they're at that formative age, they start to absorb those thoughts about themselves. And because of that, what happens through the rest of their life is repeated episodes of self-harm, of self-sabotage, and also of abuse. They end up subjecting themselves to abuse from other people because they believe that that's what they deserve. Deep down inside, it affects self-esteem, it affects your sense of self so profoundly that it essentially sort of shatters the tectonic plates underneath you and leads you to be disorientated and psychologically impacted for potentially the rest of your life. And the people I see in psychiatric services, very often, that is what's happened to them. That's what led them to become very unwell mentally and require all sorts of different levels of support. And a lot of my research is about how can we best support those people in a trauma-informed way, in a way that is really open to understanding of the trauma that brought them here in the first place, rather than just giving them pills and saying, okay, here, take some of these and that'll take the edge off and reduce the symptoms. No, we need to actually help people with the wound that brought them here in the first place and create a safe space where they can actually start to piece together the narrative of what led them to this place in the first place, what caused these thoughts, what caused these negative thoughts and symptoms that are coming up now and have been happening throughout their lifetimes. That's my research and that's my day job. But this is why I feel so passionately that this kind of abuse has to be brought to light, because the first thing we need to do for the victims is to show to them that we believe them, they are credible, they are human beings worthy of respect, and we respect them by showing that we are going to take their complaint seriously, we are going to bring the evidence to light, and we are going to prosecute and bring to justice those people who committed this abuse. That's one of the most important therapeutic things we can do for these people. That's one of the most important restorative things we can do for people who've experienced abuse. And what the House leadership did today is become complicit in that abuse by shutting down the entire House of Representatives in order to prevent any possibility of these tapes, this evidence against these perpetrators coming out. Because, as I've said in a previous video, Epstein wasn't the only perpetrator. He wasn't the only predator. He was the predator of the predators. It's the predators themselves, however, that have got off scot-free here. And that's what is being hidden, and that's what is causing the...
Okay, I want to pause it right now. Oh, where'd I go? There we go. Okay, I'm back. So, I want to pause it there because I immediately started thinking of ISKCON and the children in ISKCON who never got therapy. They never got any help dealing with their trauma, and they're made to worship gurus who are responsible for their abuse, and Prabhupada, who is ultimately responsible for their abuse. Worship them like they're God. Get down, offer them flowers, say prayers to these people. The psychological trauma that must compounds. And then they're still in the movement because they suffer from Stockholm syndrome, so they never leave the movement. They grow up in the movement, traumatized. Now they're adults, and they see their abusers are still in the Hare Krishnas. They're still being worshipped as gurus, still being worshipped like they're holy man. And these grown adults have so many problems, so much trauma, so much unresolved trauma, such untreated trauma. A lot of them, not a lot of them, many. I want to use the right term. Many committed suicide. So you can imagine that there are kids today in the Krishna cults that are being abused today that are going to grow up and kill themselves and commit suicide. Little kids today that are being abused in India, in Mayapur, in Vrindavan, in LA, in New York, in Dallas, wherever they're being abused, because we know they're being abused, and they're going to grow up with this trauma, sexual abuse trauma, that's going to go untreated while they're worshiping the people that abused them, the institution that abused them, the founder of that institution that abused them, that won't bring their abusers to justice. No, their abusers are being worshipped like God. They're not just not being brought to justice. They're being worshipped like they're holy man. Like this Trivikram Swami. He's being worshipped like he's a holy man. But he just knocked up his disciple, 35-year-old To him, that's like his granddaughter. And he got her, she might be pregnant. People are saying she's pregnant. And he's being told to go out to the forest and just forget about her. That's abuse. That's abuse for the woman now, and abuse for, if she's pregnant, abuse for the child, because the child's not even born yet and he's already abandoning the baby. That's a perfect example of what this guy's talking about. You got multiple generations of kids in these cults, in this cult, that have been abused and have never been treated. And the trauma is being compounded with the teachings that it was their karma, that they're offenders, that these gurus are as good as God. And this is some sick fucking shit. We just went through the Diddy trial and heard all this sick stuff that he was doing with these women in this trial. Whether the jury finds him guilty or not, or what they find him guilty of, some stuff and not other stuff, that's up to the jury to figure that all out. But the stuff that we heard, the testimony that was given, some crazy, freaky, nasty, dirty ass shit. And with some kids, if there were kids involved, well, these Hare Krishna is no different. These kids were abused the same way that the Diddy was abusing these women and these kids. These Krishnas just weren't having freak-off parties. They just called it, I don't know what they called it, Sankirtan or something. Gopi Bhava Club, or I don't know what they were calling it. When they were going and molesting these kids in the schools, I don't know what they were calling it, but they weren't calling it, I don't think they were calling it a freak-off, but the trauma is the same. The trauma is the same. Just because Prabhupada didn't have an island where he was flying people in and out doesn't mean that he was responsible for the damages to hundreds, if not thousands, of men, women, and children. Some who are traumatized and still worshiping him like he's God. Like my friend Jog Jivan, who, as a gay man, just he couldn't deal with it anymore. Thinking, oh, I'll just chant Hare Krishna and that'll solve everything. No. By the time he turned 50 years old, the guy was like, I'm done. He couldn't take it anymore. And Janardana, same thing. Just from the stress of the brainwashing not fitting with reality, and the brainwashing is not working, and then they go, oh, well, I'm out of here. What the fuck? That's not abuse. That's not abuse. These kids worshiping these people that are abusing them, they're in a school where the teacher is coming in and raping them, beating them, and then they have to sit there and hear that it's their karma.
Outrage throughout the public on behalf of the victims to whom justice has not been done, and that cannot be allowed to stand.
So you had this $400 million lawsuit for a bunch of these kids, but no one went to jail, no one was held accountable. They didn't see hardly any of that money because they appealed it, and ISKCON would rather pay lawyers than to just pay these kids the money they owe them. How much do you think Alan Dershowitz charges per hour to file appeals and appear in court on behalf of ISKCON? Alan Dershowitz charged a lot of money. They'd rather pay him, the Epstein Island guy that was going to Epstein Island getting massages from girls on Epstein Island. They'd rather pay him money than pay the kids that they... So the kids, they don't see any justice from the organization. They have to sue the organization to get some justice for all the trauma that they endured. The court awards them money, but then the lawyers and everything knock that award down to where they don't hardly get any money. So the kids are like, oh, so we don't get justice from the organization. We don't get justice from the legal system. Nobody goes to jail for their crimes of raping us and abusing us. Everything, like me with my daughter. It was the same exact story. My daughter was one person. These kids were fucking 450 of them. The temple failed. The organization failed by not doing what was right, not kicking the guy out of the community, not sticking up with my daughter. Instead, they blamed her and then made us the outcasts in the organization. Same thing with these kids. How dare you sue Prabhupada's movement and blame him and want his money for what happened to you when that was just your karma? So the kids get no justice. Now they're being ridiculed and told that they're evil and it's their fault that they were abused, and they don't get any money, and the legal system kind of lets them down by allowing these appeals to chip away at their award. So then they end up, basically they won, but they didn't get anything. So it was justice really served for these kids? So they just see, they don't say, so they see nothing, they get nothing. They get no therapy, they get no anything. No justice at all. These kids got nothing. Maybe they got $20,000 each, or $10,000 each, or $50,000 each. Yeah, it's $50,000, but what is that? 1 year's salary at a minimum wage job? And what, you know, they're gonna pay their rent for a year, food for a year. I mean, what for all what they got nothing. They got absolutely nothing. So they went through hell with this Krishna cult, abused, and just discarded, thrown away. Legal system fails them, the organization fails them, Prabhupada fails them, the teachings fail them. They get nothing. Any surprise that they commit suicide? More than 25 of these grown kids have committed suicide. I went to one of the funerals. Nishingananda's son. He was in high school in Brentwood. He shot himself. So my daughter was molested, and I had to go to the funeral of my boss's kid who committed suicide because he was molested in the Kurukulas. He grew up in the schools and was abused and molested. So I met him, so I knew him, Jagjivan, Janardana. You know, that's a lot of people to commit suicide that you meet in one church group. And my daughter was molested. So 3 people that I met and my daughter, all victims that I met in my time in the Hare Krishnas. That's insane. That's an insane statistic. If this cult if that doesn't sound dangerous to you, I mean, I'm glad I got out with my life. But you know what? I just went through a thing about how we shouldn't say, hey, I survived. But because a lot of people didn't survive, like Jagjivan, like Janardana. like Jiva. I think his name was Jiva. I think Nrsingananda's son's name was Jiva. A lot of trauma, a lot of hurting families. Every one of those kids, every one of those 25 grown kids, Hare Krishna kids, adult Hare Krishna kids that committed suicide, had family. They had parents, they had grandparents, siblings, maybe. So a lot of lives touched by those 25 suicides. Right? It's exponentially, you know, the parents, the grandparents, the siblings of all those casualties. The parents that had to bury their child. I had to go to a funeral. I had to deal with my daughter being molested, and I had to take her to therapy. She got therapy, thanks to the LAPD, because I went to the LAPD. The temple wasn't going to do anything for her. They didn't give a shit. They didn't offer for any medical help or any therapy, or they didn't give a shit at all. They didn't offer nothing. They did not offer one single thing. Retards are us. Hey, glad to see you, fake human. They didn't offer anything. And they didn't offer any help. And like I was saying the other day, you know, just about every grown Gurukuli kid that I met, adult kid that I met, talked about trauma. Manu and this one and Sridham and all of them. I was like, so yeah, I put Prabhupada's picture right there next to Jeffrey Epstein's picture, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about harming children. We're talking about harming women. We're talking about a whole worldwide organization that's trafficking, child marriage. Women like to be raped. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's look at this one. This one is, let's look at this video real quick.
I think I've spoken about my own life. You know that I was a married man. So after being married, I did not like my wife. Somehow or other I did not like. I must say, she's very...
Why is everybody laughing? He says, after I got married, I didn't like my wife. And then everybody laughs. Why is everybody laughing when he says, I didn't like my wife? Hey, how you doing? Good to see you here. I want to hear that again. I'm sorry. I want to hear that again.
You know that I was a married man. So after being married, I did not like my wife. Somehow or other I did not like. I must say, she's very faithful, very everything, everyone, but I did not like somehow. So I was preparing for next marriage.
So Prabhupada says, you know, she was faithful and she was everything. But I somehow or other, I didn't like her. He just didn't like her. He's a spiritual master. He's the guru. He's the holy man. So he's the holy man. he marries this woman. He rapes her at 11. When she's 11, he's 22 years old. She's 11, and he has sex with her. He basically rapes her. By our definition, it's rape because she's 11. She can't consent, even though she's forced into this marriage, and whatever. But if we look at the reality of it, he says, I took her hand. She cried. She didn't know what was going on. So he took her. He raped her. I mean, it's using our terminology, using the parlance of our time. So, and then he says, I didn't like her. See, that's the attitude of the Hare of Prabhupada and what he wants his disciples to feel. It's not important. How you feel, women are not important. You don't have to fall in love with them. You don't have to care about them. I didn't care about my wife. I didn't care. She was everything, though. She was faithful. She was pretty. She was faithful. But I didn't like her. I raped her, but I didn't like her. At the age of 22, he was married in 1919 to Radharani Devi, who was then 11 years old, in a marriage arranged by their parents. At 14, Radharani gave birth to their first son. So he was 25 and she was 14 when they had their first son. But I don't even know if that's true, because Prabhupada says in the morning walk, she was 11 and I was 22, and I captured her hand and she cried. So if he says in the morning walk, and he admits she was, he's giving the example. He's saying, he's giving the example by saying, you learn something gradually over time. You learn something. You learn. He says, just like I was 22, my wife was 11, and I captured her hand, and she cried. But gradually over time, she stopped crying, and that's what he's saying. That's the context of what he's saying, if you want to have the context of what he's saying. I've done shows about this. I've talked about it many times, but that's the context of what he's saying. My wife was 11. I was 22. One day I captured her hand, and she cried. But gradually, just see. So that's what he's explaining. He's explaining that over time, gradually you learn things. So she learned not to cry when he's capturing her hand. That's what he's saying. So I don't know where there's so many stories about, she was 14, he was 16. On the first story I heard, he was 16. But he wasn't 16. He comes out and admits it in that morning walk. He just comes out right out and says it. Here's another one while we're on this subject, because this really shows you how this man thought. Here we go.
You swear on the Bible in the court. And I was reading in the paper the other day that now in England they have passed a law whereby a man cannot be convicted of rape if he honestly believes that the woman consented to be raped. They said that the man cannot be convicted of rape if he honestly believes that the woman consented to his raping her.
Yeah, that is all right. Rape means without consent, sex. Otherwise, there is no rape. There was a rape case in Calcutta, and the lawyer is very intelligent. He someone or other made the woman admit, yes, I felt such a thing. So he was released. Here is concept. And that's a fact. Because after all sex, rape or no rape, they'll feel some pleasure. So the lawyer, by hook and crook, made the woman agree, yes, I felt some pleasure. Now there is consent. So he was released.
So the point he's making here, well, there's more to this. There's more to this video, but the point he's making right there is that, yeah, the guy raped her, but because the lawyer was smart and he tricked her, he got away, and everything's cool. And they're all kind of like, haha, yeah, hey, that's kind of cool. No, it's not cool. It's not cool at all. That's not something to be proud of. The guy raped this woman. He obviously raped her. But he says the lawyer was very intelligent. By some hook or by crook, he got her to admit that there was some pleasure feeling there because, I don't know. I wasn't in the courtroom. I don't know what the questioning was. I don't know where her lawyer was. I don't know what kind of representation she had in this kangaroo court in Calcutta in 1922. Who knows what was going on? It's hard to say that. It's hard to think that she got any kind of justice because some lawyer was able to get her to say something the wrong way. Okay. But Prabhupada's admitting that, hey, this guy raped her. And he got off by hook because the lawyer was able to sneak this thing in and tripped up the woman who was just raped, tripped her up in her testimony, and the guy got off. And he's very proud of that and thinks that somehow proves his point. This is a sick individual.
After all, it is an eating sensation. So, either by force or by willing, if there is eating, everyone feels sensitive, good sensitive. There's a psychology. Huh? It is not that the woman do not like rape. They like sometimes. They willingly. That is the psychology.
Okay, so the other thing I want to mention here is Hare Krishna is when you mention this conversation that he's having about rape, and he's saying that women like to be raped, they always will say, you're taking it out of context. Now, he's not saying rape. He's saying, aggressive sex, that women like, they like to, they like a man who can really, give it to them good. They like a real masculine man who can really, That's what they're trying to say. That's what they're trying to say that's what they're trying to say Prabhupada is implying. That women they like rough sex, they like a rough man, they like and they like and that's what Prabhupada, but that's not what Prabhupada just said. Prabhupada just had a whole conversation about rape and how the lawyer got the woman to admit that she felt some pleasure, or I don't even know if I believe what Prabhupada's saying, but he's saying that the lawyer tripped up the woman who was raped and then the guy got off because the lawyer was really slick. I don't know what he's saying. He's saying the lawyer was really slick. He tripped her up in court and they found her, he got away with it. So Prabhupada knows what rape is. That's what they're talking about. That's the conversation that they just had. That this guy was on trial for rape. He was on trial for rape. And then Prabhupada explains what rape is. Oh, yes, rape. Sex without consent. Otherwise, there's no rape. There can't be consent. Otherwise, there's rape. So Prabhupada's not confused. He's not having dementia. He's not having a senior moment or anything. He's very clear. He knows about the law. He knows about the court case he's talking about. He knows about rape and the difference between sex and rape. And then he goes on to say, immediately after that, yes, women like rape. They like that. Sometimes they willingly. Prabhupada is not confused at all by what they're talking about or what they're saying. He's clear as day explaining to them what rape is and that women like it, and that's it. Oh, that was the end of that. Yeah. Okay. So here's a man who, again, you go, well, you put Prabhupada's picture up there with Jeffrey Epstein. That's pretty crazy that you would do that. No, it's not. Here's a man who just said women like to be raped. He explained what rape is. He explained he's happy that the lawyer got the guy off with rape. He's like, yeah, he was really cool and he got him off, and that's it, and that's the law, and blah, blah, blah. He probably, you know how you tell this story? You go, there was a court case in Calcutta back in the day, and this woman was raped, and the guy on trial got this really slick lawyer and got him off. He got the lawyer, got the woman to admit that somehow he tripped her up in her testimony, and the guy got away with raping this woman, all because she slipped up and said the wrong thing. You don't want to talk about how, the guy got off because of a technicality and what she said and something, and then you're all happy about it and go, yeah, well, isn't that great how no man can ever be, they're talking about no man can ever be convicted of rape because rape is like they're happy. Like this is exciting for them or something. I don't know. It's a weird thing, and that's why I put his picture up there. Who talks like that? Oh yeah, she got off. He got off. He was a rapist. He raped this woman, but he got away with it because the lawyer was really slick. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool, guys? If you ever rape somebody and you need to get off, get a really slick lawyer. And we'll just tell him that women like to be raped, and you'll go free. That's basically what he's saying. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. This is his idea of being a holy man, being this self-realized soul, this spiritual master. I'm going to tell you how to get off on rape. If you rape somebody, I'm going to tell you how to get off, okay? You get a lawyer, and you just tell him, hey, women like that shit. And you just keep asking her if she got any pleasure out of it. And eventually, when she slips up and goes, yeah, you go, I gotcha. And then you'll get away with rape. I mean, that's basically what he's saying. And, by the way, women like that shit. Women like that shit. And 11-year-old girls make the best wives. Well, let's combine those two things, those two ideas. Let's put both those ideas together in our head at the same time. 11-year-old girls are women because they're menstruating or they're about to or whatever, right? My wife was 11. So this 11-year-old woman, she likes to be raped. And it's just an itching sensation. So whether by force or by accident, who cares? Who cares? It's just an itch. It's just an itch that needs to be scratched. No, he has no concept that it's loving feelings between a man and a woman, that there could be an emotional connection there, that maybe there's, No, he doesn't understand that because he raped his 11-year-old wife, and then he says, I didn't even like her. She was everything. She was pretty. She was everything. But I didn't like her. Lucky me, I didn't like her. I just used her and then just threw her away, just like you can too. Be a brahmachari, but if you can't do it, then, just take a wife, and then you can use her, and then when you're ready, you can go back off into the forest and play Hare Krishna guru again. I know this guy thinks. That's why this Trivikram Swami, perfect example. 84-year-old guru, guru can't control his senses, can't keep it in his dhoti anymore, right? He can't keep the old pecker in a dhoti. He wanted to have sex with his disciples, and he's gonna have sex with her, and now he's just gonna toss her aside and go back to doing what he was doing before. Give a shit about her. It's just like these Jeffrey Epstein clients, getting a girl, using her, throwing her away. What they call her? Tissues. They call them tissues. They get the nerve to call these young girls tissues because these guys are going to use them and throw them away like a fucking jack-off rag or something. No respect for these women, and no respect for these women, these children. How can you have respect for these women when you're trafficking them around the world and using them like? Of course not. Same thing with the Hare Krishnas. They don't have any respect for women. Treat them like shit. You think just because Prabhupada didn't have a plane and an island and a bunch of rich people coming for his 11-year-old girls, that he's any different? Creating this whole friggin' organization, putting in his books that 11-year-old girls have to be married to 25-year-old men, knowing his disciples are going to read that, knowing that his disciples believe every fucking word he says. That's why you got people like Jitaratri and Damagosh, Tattva Darshan, and whoever the fuck trying to convince people like me, hey, you got to be a pedophile. If you don't believe that 11-year-old girls make perfect wives, well, you're an offender to Prabhupada. Oh, so it's not bad enough that I got to chant Hare Krishna 64 rounds a day and follow 4 regular principles. I got to believe that 11-year-old girls make the best wives because it's on page 842 of Prabhupada's book. Or I got to believe that women like to be raped because Prabhupada says in his stupid walk along the beach that women like to be raped. So now I got to just adopt that thought. Because if I say, hey, I don't think women like to be raped. Hey, well, Prabhupada said women like to be raped, Prabhu. Don't be an offender. The fuck? Prabhupada says women have small brains, Prabhu. Women have small brains. Men have 64 ounces and women have 38. That's it. Prabhupada said it. I believe it. That's it. Where's that one? Where's that video? Let me get that video. Let me show you how these fuckers think. Where is this guy? Here we go.
University in America, and I was teaching a course on religions of India. Well, I had one student who was rather tall who used to come in. He would never look at me. He would walk to the back of the classroom, sit in the corner where he could rest his head, because the corner holds the head, and he would put his legs up on the chair next to him and basically sleep during my classes. Then I said, now, one lecture came up, and I said, now we're going to move to the Bhagavad Gita. This is one of the greatest pieces of spiritual literature in the whole world. Suddenly, he turns and he raises his hand. He said, I have a question. And he was trying to embarrass me. I said, yes, please, go ahead. Why are we using the Bhagavad Gita from the Hare Krishna movement in a famous university such as this? I said, that is an excellent question. I'm so glad that you were able to rouse yourself to ask this question. And I said, you know what? I can give you my own Bhagavad Gita, but that's an academic Gita. Rather, and there are many other Gitas out there, so many Gitas, but this is the only Gita that has actually sunk into the hearts of hundreds of thousands of people and inspired them in devotion to Krishna. So this is a practitioner's Gita, and I want all of us to be able to enter into something of the experience of the practitioner. Thank you so much for asking this question. And I'm sorry, I forgot your name. I did remember his name, but I said that just to be a little dismissive. So anyway, I was a professor.
All right, well, that wasn't the exact video that I wanted to show, but basically it goes down to Prabhupada's books. what is in Prabhupada's books and believing every single word, comma, exclamation point, everything, every little flaw in the paper. They believe that too. And this guy, there's a video of him. I'm sorry, I played the wrong video, but they're all the same. Where he talks about how if Prabhupada says it, that's it. We believe it, and we don't ask any questions about it. That's it. So that's it. But evidently, I can't find that video right now. I can't find that video right now. But what I do want to show you, I wanted to show you something interesting, and I wanted to go over this with you now. Let's see, where is it? So this is the actual book that I worked on when I was working with the Hare Krishna Society and Yashodanandan and Dhamma and all of these people. And this is a digital copy, digitized version of the book. But this is the exact book that I worked on, and I worked tirelessly on this book, doing typesetting and proofreading. I corrected so many errors in this book, and then they went ahead and they just printed the one with all the errors, and they did not use the version that I had painstakingly corrected. And I was very pissed off at that. I was very pissed off at that. First of all, it makes the book look very amateurish, because there's a lot of typographical errors in it repeatedly in this book. But it does go over the things that the essential teachings of Prabhupada, and some of the stuff about the Guru. Srila Prabhupada is an eternal associate of Lord Chaitanya. And then all the quotes that where Prabhupada mentions that. Everyone should accept Srila Prabhupada as a spiritual master. So then there's a collection of all the places where Prabhupada says, for instance, Srila Jiva Goswami advises that one not accept a spiritual master in terms of hereditary or customary social and ecclesiastical conventions. One should simply try to find a genuinely qualified spiritual master for actual advancement in spiritual understanding. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela 135 purport. And so it goes on like that. So one should take initiation from a bona fide spiritual master coming in the disciplic succession, who is authorized by his predecessor spiritual master. So it goes on, and it just basically it's a small book that explains the basic teachings of the Hare Krishna Society as far as the Ritvik view. So it has the bona fide spiritual master is never limited by material conditions, which means the spiritual master is not an ordinary person. So it says, like it says here, just like Krishna can be present simultaneously in millions of places, similarly the spiritual master can also be present wherever the disciple wants. He says, here's one. Srila Prabhupada's words are above defects. So this is coming from his books. All rituals, procedures, names established by Srila Prabhupada are transcendently pure and perfect. It is recommended that one honor the spiritual master as being on an equal status with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should consider the Acharya to be as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It goes on. Srila Prabhupada's preaching is empowered and complete. Srila Prabhupada lives eternally as the spiritual master of the universe. So it goes on like that, and it explains who Prabhupada is, who he was, and his power, his Shakti, the power that he has to initiate the whole world. And also about the Vaishnavas and what Diksha initiation is. Self-appointed, unauthorized preachers should be neglected. So this whole book was what I worked on. I worked on this a lot, correcting so many mistakes. And then they just ignored it, and they just pretended like I don't know what the issue was, but then they just said, no, we're going to do the one with all the errors in it. And so that's this book. And then here, you can actually see here my address is in this book. I had my address and my phone number at the time when I lived in Los Angeles. But you can see we had a group of a little affiliate system going on with all these different homes or restaurants or whatever were part of our network of devotees, and so that's what I was doing. Right, this is 2004, so this is about 8 years before I actually left the Hare Krishna movement. So this is what I was up to for a while there, and then after we had them printed out, we were distributing them. Bedtime stories. Yep, bedtime stories. I call them caveman stories because these were written by cavemen, people that were used to living in caves, living in stone houses that were, built in the side of a wall or whatever. And it's just caveman stories. That's what they are. So that's pretty much what I'm talking about today. Is these people, this Krishna cult, when you really look at the harm that it's done, the harm that it continues to do, the reach that it has, the worldwide spread around, the means to traffic kids and women and kids and all over, the history of actually doing that, the history of abuse, the history of shattered lives, suicides, abused children, lawsuits, a brand new lawsuit. You got a brand new lawsuit. I mean, this shit's never going to die. All these kids that were abused and that are living in there now, it's another lawsuit, more testimony, more remembrances, more of all of that. Again, they lived through it once. They had lived through it again with the first trial. Now there's another trial. Now there's another trial, the third trial. They're going to put these people, all these kids, through this trauma again because they want to protect Prabhupada now. Prabhupada's been mistreated. Like Prabhupada's been mistreated. And you're going to have another trial, another lawsuit, and nothing's going to happen. And you're going to just let these kids down again because you're going to win something, but they're not going to get anything. Nobody's going to go to jail. This is going to be a big fucking fraud, big fucking waste of money, waste of time, and you're not doing anyone any good. The kids aren't going to benefit from it. You'd be better off taking that money and putting it into an educational program where people learn what this cult, well, it's a cult lawsuit, so they're not going to do that. That money would be better spent teaching people how not to join a cult, how not to join this cult. That's what needs to be done. There needs to be a large-scale media campaign saying, hey, did you know that these Hare Krishnas abuse children again and again and again? There's a brand new lawsuit. Guess what? They're still abusing children. You thought they stopped abusing children? No, they're still abusing children in a brand new lawsuit. Been going on for 50, 60 years. Been abusing children for 50, 60 years. They got a brand new lawsuit. They're never going to let this shit die. Oh, because Prabhupada was offended. Oh, you offended Prabhupada. Oh, we can't have that. We got to have justice for Prabhupada. Fuck them kids. We need justice for Prabhupada. Where's the justice for the kids? Where's the justice for my daughter? Where's the justice for any of these kids? They got the nerve to have a lawsuit, Justice for Prabhupada Foundation. Because someone like me brought up the fact that Prabhupada was responsible for these schools and all the abuse that happened to him, that he created the schools, created the organization, created the teachings that says that they could abuse these kids, installed these people to abuse these kids, that abuse these kids, didn't do anything when they found out these kids were being abused. They didn't give a fuck. Fucking monster. What kind of fucking monster was he? I consider that fucking disgusting fucking monster. He had no business building a fucking school and putting these kids in there, convincing these hippies to stick their kids in this fucking boarding school. He didn't even know what was going on in these boarding schools. If he knew what was going on in his schools, he should have stopped it. He didn't stop it because he didn't know what was going on, because he didn't give a fuck. And then when he found out, he didn't give a fuck either. Otherwise, he would have stopped it. He didn't stop it. He didn't care. What he cared about is he didn't want people to find out that he created a fucking piece of shit movement. He wanted to polish that turd and make it look fucking nice and shiny. I got a fucking Vrindavan temple to build. I can't be bothered with this fucking child molestation in my schools. I need to build my fucking temple in Mayapur. I need to build my fucking temples. Sell my books. His books were more important than those kids. Don't fucking kid yourself about that. He cared more about those books than he cared about anything else. He didn't care about his kids. He didn't care about his wife. You think he cared about that? You think he cared about somebody else's kids? He didn't give a shit about his own kids. Fuck yeah, I put Prabhupada's picture next to Jeffrey Epstein. That's exactly where it fucking belongs. Fucking belongs right there. Two fucking disgusting pieces of shit child abusers. Fuck yeah, I put his picture right there. Fucking piece of shit. "11-year-old girls marrying an 11-year-old girl, fucking having sex with an 11-year-old girl, putting it in his books, saying women like to be raped. Fucking disgusting. Yeah, I put his picture right there next to Jeffrey Epstein. That's exactly where it belongs. Exactly where it belongs. He ain't no fucking holy man. He ain't no fucking Dalai Lama. He ain't no Maharishi or fucking any of that shit. He's fucking Charlie Manson in a fucking robe. That's what he is. Fucking piece of shit. He didn't give a shit about nobody's kids. He wanted those kids in his school because he didn't want those kids to go to a fucking Karmi school. But you know what? They wouldn't have been molested in the Karmi school. They wouldn't have gone through all that trauma in the Karmi school. They wouldn't have been tortured and fed maggot-infested food in the Karmi school. They wouldn't have been sleeping in urine-infested clothes and urine-soaked beds and locked in dark closets and sleeping in trash cans and all kinds of fucking disgusting shit that they put these little kids. I'm not talking about hazing high school kids. These are little kids. fucking disgusting. If they wrote a book about all the shit that went on in the Hare Krishna schools, nobody would buy it because it'd be too fucking disgusting and nobody would want to read that shit. Nobody want to read that shit. I don't want to read this shit. I'll watch Silence of the Lambs before I read this shit. You know, shit was bad if they had to fucking put 2 bullets in a guy's head in a van on Canfield Avenue because he was going to fucking spill the beans. That shit was so bad that they went and they murdered a guy because he was going to talk. That's how bad this shit was. And it was a whole fucking conspiracy to kill the guy. It wasn't like some nut was like, oh, I'm going to go shoot somebody. No, it was a whole fucking orchestrated ordeal. Movies have been made about it. Books have been written about it. TV shows have been made about it. You want to know about it, you can go read the book or watch the movie. That's these people. That's these people. Fuck yeah, I put his face up there. If it wasn't for him, hey, if he would have had a heart attack on that freighter coming over here and died in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean or something, the world would be much greater place. All those children wouldn't be abused. All these families wouldn't have been torn apart. All these stupid books wouldn't have been sold in the airports and people harassed. Women fucking being abused and impregnated and discarded like tissue paper, like Kleenex. That's what these people think. And I think the guy wrote that letter to Trivikram. Just hop on the bus, Gus. Get the fuck out of there, man. Just hightail it out, man. He didn't give a shit about the woman and the kid. She's pregnant. He didn't say, hey, you're her guru. You need to fucking, take care of this woman. You need to set her straight, get her head right, make sure everything's cool, make sure the kid's okay. I don't know, it sounds like a bad deal, but you need to, you're her guru, you're a self-realized soul, man, you're on another level, you're, you need to, no, he didn't say that at all. He said, you know what, you need to get the fuck out of there. You need to go to India, go sit by the river, chant, act like a holy man, pretend like you're all, just continue with the charade. Like nothing ever happened. We're going to act like nothing ever happened. Let's just go to India, go meditate, go walk around, go down by the river, and just pretend like you never had sex with her, like you weren't hiding this for 6 months, like this ain't all a bunch of bullshit. Yeah, don't sit and think about it, because if you sit and think about it, you're going to come to the realization this is all a bunch of bullshit, and we can't have that now. So better for you to go to India and just keep chanting. Because we don't need another Vidyamukya Swami comes out and goes, hey, this is all bullshit. I'm an atheist now because this is all bullshit. We don't want that. we can have a Swami, get caught watching pornos or, get caught with little boys or little girls. We can deal with that. But you coming out and saying it's all fake and phony and you're an atheist now, we can't deal with that. So we'll hook you up with a room. We'll hook you up with a room in Mayapur. We'll get you over there. We'll get you situated. You bring your wife if you want. You don't. But don't spill the beans that this is all a bunch of bullshit. We don't need you coming out now and saying, hey, I'm 84 years old. I was a Hare Krishna for 60 years, and a lot like Sri Mukunda, I realize that this is all a bunch of bullshit. Can you imagine that? And I could have him on my show, and he'd come on, and we'd be sitting here talking. I'd be like, "Hey, Trivikram, so what happened, man?" And he'd be like, "Oh, man, it's all a bunch of bullshit." And I'd be like, "Yeah, it's all a bunch of bullshit, huh?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, it's all a bunch of bullshit, man." That'd be great. That'd be a great show. Hey, Trivikram Swami, if you're out there and you want to come on my show, and we can talk about how it's all a bunch of bullshit, I will actually pay to turn off YouTube, and I'll pay the extra money to get the thing so that you can come on and we'll sit and we'll talk. Because you all sit and I'll talk to you. Okay, you got a story. 84 years old, you fucked up big time. I'll talk to you. Gaur Haridas, I don't need to talk to that fuck. What am I going to talk to him for? He's too busy dreaming that Prabhupada comes to him and tells him he's a guru and and then he shares that dream with other people and they're, ooh, wow, you're a dreamer. You're a dreamer guru, dreamer pod. So I don't need to talk to him, but Trivik Ram, I'll talk to him. He can come on my show. That'd be a big exclusive. It's my Srimakunda interviews Trivik Ram Das. Imagine that. Exclusive. I'd break the internet. Break the internet with that one. But hey, if you're out there, Trivik Ram, and you're watching, or if anybody out there knows him and is going to be, and you go, hey, this guy, he wants you to come on his show. I would definitely do that. The invitation is open, and I will invest in the. I'd have to upgrade. To have so I can have guests come on because I don't have nobody. Who am I going to have on there? But I would do that. I would do that for him if he wanted to come on and talk. All these other fucks, I don't need to talk to them. Hridayananda, I don't need to talk to him. What am I going to talk to him for? He went to Harvard. What am I? The guy went to Harvard. Well, actually, hey, if Hridayananda wants to come on, you can come on because I want to talk to you about how the fuck you went to Harvard and you believe that there's a fucking demon head eating the moon, okay? So Hridayananda, if you want to come on my show, you can come on. I'll talk to you. Trivik Ram, you want to come on, I'll talk to you too. Any of you fucking fuck nuts. Fuck nuts want to come on here. I have some questions. I have questions. What was it? Where's my question sound? I want.
Now! Right now! I want to ask my questions now, and I want to have my answers now. You hear?
Yeah, you hear? Trivik Ram, Hridayananda? There's an open invitation for you guys. You guys want to come on and talk to me? Because I definitely got to find out how a guy can go to Harvard and still believe that there's a demon head eating the moon. Like, how does that happen? Like, you got to ask for your money back. If you pay for that money to go to Harvard and you come out of there still believing there's a demon head eating the moon, I'd say that Harvard failed you. And I would ask for I'd ask for your money back on that one. It's it's crazy. Fucking nuts, man. These fucking Krishnas are fucking insane. But it's not funny because they harm a lot of kids. They harm a lot of kids. They harm a lot of people. And that's definitely not funny. So, but they are fucking crazy and insane. So I'm going to end it here. I wanted to get that the Jeffrey Epstein thing out there. I want to thank everybody for watching. And believe me, these people are dangerous, man. You don't want to be anywhere near them. You don't want to go to any of their festivals. You don't want to go anywhere near their shit, okay? Just stay away. Rocket Man. Just remember, Sunday comes before Monday. Sunday comes before Monday, okay? So whenever anybody asks you about the moon landing, and you just remember, just say, hey, I don't want to hear shit about moon landing because Sunday comes before Monday. All right? Hit the like button. Like, share, and subscribe, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thanks for joining in, everybody that joined in. And all you people on the replay, when you're watching on the replay, please hit the like button. Like, share, and subscribe, everybody. Thanks. Have a great day, great night, great morning, great afternoon, wherever you are. And have some great luck. Please stay out of a cult. And once again, here it is. It's me being one of these fucking crazy Hare Krishna nuts.